Live. Welcome everybody, it's Dan Latto speaking. Hope you're well today. We're on day 8 today of lockdown in our villa here in Spain. So we'll do the intro, and I've got a whole list of things I want to run through in today's session. If you're joining me, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Just put your name down in the box below so I know who you are. Sometimes it doesn't come up on my screen for some reason, so I'll check it on Facebook as well. In the group and just see what's going on there. Yes, I'm in Spain. Orange Crush 404. Thank you very much. You're watching on Twitter. Where are you from? So let's talk about the UK for a second. So finally, Boris Johnson has closed down the pubs, the restaurants, the bars, and all the idiots went out last night. Let's get drunk. Last night at the pub, spreading coronavirus everywhere between everyone in the pub. And I'm like, you're in NJ. Is that New Jersey? Welcome from New Jersey. I guess you're in New Jersey. And I just don't get why people are going out. Yeah, buddy. KD. Let's talk about Kevin Durant for a second. Oh my gosh. I mean, if KD's got it, do you know what I mean? What help is there for everybody else? That's what I think. I love basketball, by the way. And, anyway, we'll talk about that another time. So in the UK right now, they just banned pubs and restaurants and bars. The transport infrastructure is still in place, but I guess it has to be in order to get nurses and doctors and police officers where they need to be. But I think that's wrong. They just need to lock that shit down, basically, and they've got to start protecting people. All the people went out last night in pubs because it was last night because for closing. All that coronavirus is being spread. I was just checking the numbers. And China's on 81,000. We've been on 81,000 for quite some time. It's really slowed down. Italy's 47,000. Spain, where I am, is 21,500. Germany, almost 20,000. The US, almost 20,000. That's really shot up. Iran, which was like second or third, is 19,500, and France is 12,000. I mean, it's like we've got to stop people going out and mingling with each other. It's like, if we don't do this, it's going to continue and continue and continue, and it's about locking down. And right now, we're in lockdown. We're on day 8. You're allowed to go out to the shops, but I was just reading an article where if you're driving in your car, even if you're on your own, you're going to get stopped at a roadblock here in Spain. And they're going to ask you for your details, and they're advising for your employer to have, who you are, what your ID is, why you're going out, almost like permission, if you like. You're on day 11. Wow. So Orange Crush 404 is on day 11. So are you allowed out? Are you living in a house, or are you in an apartment? And are you actually allowed out? And are you being stopped? I saw Times Square, which we were there just last year, I think it was. And it was rammed. And I saw a picture like yesterday, and it's like the film 28 Days Later, if you've ever seen that. You're in a shed. Oh my goodness me. Are you self-isolating because you've got symptoms then? Away from your family, so I'm guessing you got symptoms. Well, I hope that you're going to be okay, and I think there's more people that are going to have these symptoms, and they don't even know it because they're carrying them and they're spreading them around, and you're good. That's good to see. You're just being careful. Wonderful. Perfect. That's very responsible, and I don't see that responsibility taking place in the UK right now. I saw a picture of people on the tube and a carriage, because there's less carriages, so there's more people in a carriage. Yeah, because that makes sense. It just doesn't make sense. No fever, no cough. Hopefully it'll stay that way. But it's like the UK is 2 or 3 weeks behind everybody else, it seems. And everyone this morning is like, oh, Boris is saving the planet. Good old Boris. And I'm like, dude, Boris has just killed 500,000 people because it's taken him 2 weeks because he's talking about herd mentality, herd immunity, which there's no scientific basis for. There is with a vaccine, but we haven't got a vaccine. It's like, Boris has been really slow off the mark, and yeah, the Chancellor's coming with all these new monetary fiscal policies, if you like, and that's helping people financially. Covering 80% of their wage is huge, but it's 3 weeks away. Okay, so like this morning, I've had a tenant. His sister actually contacted me a couple of days ago saying that he's got COVID-19 symptoms, and I'm like, okay, how is he? So this morning I sent a text. Obviously, he needs to pay rent. We're worried about rent because if rent's not paid, the whole property portfolio collapses and then people are made homeless. But hopefully with this 80% of wages being covered, we'll be safe. Anyway, I spoke to his sister and she's like, no, he's not good. I'm like, has he got food? She's like, no, he's got no food and he's got no money. And I'm like, okay, let's send some money over. to him, just so that to her, so she can go and get pasta and rice and a little bit of tuna and whatever, bananas, whatever, just like a care pack that she can then deliver to him, leave it outside the house so he can bring it in, so if the guy's not going to starve. And I'm like, are we at that stage already? Like, literally, the guy's got no money, he can't get out of bed, so he's struggling there, but at least, and she's like, I wish more landlords would do that, and it's like, we're lucky to be in a position to do it, but we might not always be in that position to do it if all the other rents don't come in. At some point we will fail too if all the rents don't come in, so that's a big worry for us. Herd immunity works, but it takes several seasons. Yeah, but only after a vaccine, I believe, which we don't have. Yeah, absolutely. So it's a bit of a nightmare all round. The numbers are going up and up and up. Self-isolation is the key, I think, and I would like you to self-isolate too if you can. Amazing work today. How's the view from Spain today? Let's have a look, shall we? The view is overcast. You can't really see it, actually. There's our pool that we're desperately trying to get bluer, and it was dark green earlier this week. This is my plan, but we're almost out of what's it called? What's the stuff you chuck in your pool? The granules, chlorine, and then it's kind of overcast out there. You can see it's a little bit overcast. It's not a sunny day, and it's overcast all week actually. Let me just put you back there. Hello. So it's overcast. I say this on everyone. If this had happened in July, we wouldn't notice. Would have been in the house for all 6 weeks anyway, jumping in the pool, which would have been really loads of fun. We're kind of in a city, but we're not in a big city. We're in a town called Benicassim. It's about an hour north of Valencia. The Mediterranean Sea is about about 100 meters that way. So straight out of our gate, straight down, and you're on the beach, which is awesome, by the way. And we go to the beach almost every day in summer, which is really cool. But we're in a really small place, and when you look at the amount of cases in Valencia, it's going up like that. And where we are, it's really, really bottomed out, and people are really kind of distancing themselves and self-isolating. In fact, I would say it's increased in the last couple of days, whereas before you'd see 2 people walking up and down. Now there's nobody. So we do the 8 o'clock balcony thing. So we all go onto our balconies, we've got a roof terrace here, and we go on and we applaud all the emergency services and the doctors and the nurses and the police and the people stocking the shelves and the people keeping the electricity going on, because without electricity we would be in so much shit. It would be, you've seen 28 Days Later with the zombies. I think probably that's where we would be. And actually, that is my concern for the US, given the gun culture there, is that people might get a little bit excited and think that it's 28 days later. And it does worry me a little bit. Well, it worries me a lot, actually. Cup of coffee. Otherwise, the throat gets a little bit raw. Excuse me, if you've got any questions, let me know. Just been walking the dogs. I can actually put these on screen. I forget. Okay. Just been walking the dogs out. Very few people out and noticeably less cars. Good. That's as it should be. A friend of mine who lives in Bristol sent me a video outside his front room, and he's kind of on the high street in just outside of Bristol. And it was business as normal yesterday during the day. But hopefully, Boris saying, okay, we need to lock down. I'm hoping people are actually taking that into account now and not just ignoring him. I've seen people on, what is it in America right now, where the kids are at the end of college, spring break. Okay, so I've seen the videos on spring break. Woo, yeah! And I'm like, dude, you're just passing coronavirus to everybody. Stop doing it. Do you know what I mean? This is really serious stuff. Oh, it's not as bad as the flu. Yes, it is, dickhead. It is. The bros, yeah, or bra, yeah, bra. Okay, we're on to the inspirational bit. That was the intro. Inspirational bit. Okay, so we talked about just helping a tenant earlier on. Let's see. We've got. I can't believe bros is what ends the world. That's a very good point. So, from an inspiration point of view, with the tenant, and I was thinking about this earlier on. So we sent some money over, and it enables his sister to go get some supplies, hands them to the tenant, and then. Like, you don't want to kind of go out and speak to the tenants in case we go, I've got an idea. How about I don't pay rent? And, to have that conversation is harder. But it's this: do you ask them to keep paying rent? And that's kind of offensive to some people. But then if people don't pay rent, the whole thing collapses, and we're responsible as a landlord for a lot of families. And if 25% or 50% actually don't pay the rent, the other 50% in 3 months' time will be evicted through homelessness, because the mortgages aren't paid. I know there's a 3-month moratorium and all that kind of thing, but who knows how, what mortgage companies are like. They're bastards. So feels like it's really starting to kick in over here. Are you in the UK? Because your name's not coming up, you see. Let me know where you are. Anyway, so talking about the tenant, and I was thinking about this in great detail earlier on. This gives us a chance as a species to step up. And I think it's important to talk about that now from an inspirational or motivational point of view. So for me, it was about, I'm in a position where right now anyway, where I can actually help people. And actually the help that I can give people doesn't have to be a lot financially. It just has to be a little, just to tide them over, to keep them going. And I was thinking about that. And I was like, if I can be the beacon, if you like, and I think we should all be beacons in the dark. Look at that motivational, inspirational language. You in Peterborough. That inspirational, motivational language. It's when I start crying, I'm there. So if we can be the beacon in the dark for other people who are stressed, anxious, panicking, shitting themselves, etc., I think that is a real benefit. And in order to be the beacon in the dark, you don't even have to do that much. You can go live, you can speak to your friends, you can WhatsApp them, you can speak to your parents who are potentially ignorant or potentially scared or both, like who knows. But it's not that you have to give money to help people. You could just be helpful. You could be kind. You could help other people in all sorts of different ways. Well, we'll give my right hand for a meat lover's pizza. Yeah, totally. Or maybe ask someone to order one for you. Do you know what I mean? Or you order one for somebody else. I don't know what you like on deliveries there. But this is our time to shine as a species, but in order to do that, I think we need to step up our game somewhat, and that's actually what this session is going to be about. I should really thinking about it, put that in the title. But we've got a chance to help people who are more stressed than we are. Although we may be stressed, and I have some level of anxiety about all of this. We're on day 8 now, and it kind of piles on top of each other, does the pressure. But if I'm feeling that, other people are going to feel that. And also we're 8 days ahead of the curve compared to the UK, so we can help people in the UK to explain how to do it. My wife at 9:30 goes into the gym and works out, and someone goes on a Facebook Live and they all work out together. And I love that. And so you could help people just by doing something like that. It doesn't have to be monetary, but for us right now, we're in a position where, it wasn't a lot, don't get me wrong, but he's going to have 2 weeks worth of food. And in 2 weeks, we're like, it gets him to the end of the month. And then we can review what rents have been paid and what hasn't been paid. And we've got a really good idea as to where we are and what we can afford to help other people as well, if needs be. But I'm hoping that with the 80% of income from wages that Boris announced yesterday, and we are grateful for that, I think that's probably come from his chancellor more than Boris. I think that's wonderful, and hopefully that will tide us over. And if it does tide us over, then we're in a position to go out and help more people. Because there's also a certain level of guilt, because I was watching it yesterday and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think we might get through this with rents paid. And if that happens, I'm like, we're going to get through this unscathed. All right, a little bit scathed, but not compared to some others. And then I'm like, okay, if that's the case, what can we do to give back and help other people that are really struggling or suffering in some way? It doesn't even have to be people that you know. I was talking to someone on Twitter, and it's a woman who, I was just following her post for whatever reason. She's a socialist as well, and I'm a capitalist, okay? But we just got chatting, like you do, and she's like, oh, I've had no food in the house for 3 days. And I'm like, what, like you've not eaten? And she's like, no, I've not eaten. I'm like, oh my goodness. By the way, that's what socialism gets you. Didn't mention that to her. She might be watching. But I'm like, is there something? I just messaged them this morning. Is there something I can do to help you? Have you got food in the house? Because I just think it's really important. Even if it's not a lot, it's like it's something. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, imagine if they lost the job, they've got no income coming in. They're waiting for universal credit. I think I can't remember. Universal credit is our benefits system in the UK. Dreadful system. It's designed to kill poor people and disabled people and old people. It's another story. But it's like, it doesn't take a lot to help people. Do you know what I mean? Our friends are probably fed up of a kind of, we've got a bit of food. So it's like, what can we do to help other people? That's what the question that you should be asking yourself right now. If you think you've got it bad, like, think about other people that are older than you, more stressed, more anxious than you. I'm just going to have a quick drink. Put your questions in down below. Subscribe, by the way, if you're on YouTube, or if the link to the mastermind group is down below. Come and join us in the mastermind group. We go live 3 times a week in there with business and wealth advice and all that kind of thing. And right, have a quick drink. It'll go cold otherwise. But put your questions in there. So a good question, actually, just come in. What vitamins are you taking? That's a really good question. And do you know what? We're not actually taking any vitamins. We got vitamin C. We've got about 3 bottles of the bottled stuff, and then we've got about 8 cartons of the cartony stuff, which will last us another 2 weeks, maybe. Easy, 2 weeks. So we're actually not taking vitamins per se, and I think we do have them in, but we're kind of isolated here, and we're on day 8, and there's nobody in the houses nearby. We're not leaving the front gate. We're not going to supermarkets, and so we wanted to isolate to make sure that we didn't have it and we weren't carrying it. We've got a 5-year-old here and my wife, obviously, and we just wanted to stay in the house and make sure we weren't spreading it around from anybody else. And once we get past like the 14-day period, we're kind of like, okay, we're still not leaving the house because we feel much safer. Excuse me. We feel much safer knowing that we probably haven't got it and we're going to be fine. Okay, let's see, another question. Oh, that's smart. Well, we think so. We'll see. Nobody knows what smart is anymore. People think smart is going on the tube. Did you see Ant Middleton? Ant Middleton's ex-SAS, and he put this thing up about like, I'll still hug people. I'll still go on planes. I'm not worried about no coronavirus. And I was like, you're an idiot. Do you know what I mean? And people go, well, you wouldn't say that to his face. You're right, I wouldn't, but he's still a cock. Why would you do that? Why would you put other people at risk? I just don't get it. Just because you're SAS doesn't mean that you're invisible to a virus. What are you going to do? Arm wrestle it to death? You muppet. Let's have a look. Oh, okay, that's an interesting one. Lack of vitamin D from sunlight. I mean, you're in the UK, so I have a daylight replication lamp, but any ideas about getting natural light? So I think vitamin D goes through clouds. That's the first thing. Somebody check that on Google. Someone else is just saying natural selection with Ant Middleton. Yeah, he survived the Taliban but didn't survive a tiny little virus that he thinks he can arm wrestle into submission. So for me, I think just someone have a look on Google. Can you get vitamin D through clouds? Just someone type that and let me know, and I'll stick it on the thing down below. But I think that's what you can do. You've got to try and spend time outside. Like, I know it's raining probably in the UK because it's always raining. I know it's cloudy because it's always cloudy. I know it's grey and it's depressing, and it's still only the middle of March. At least here, we're getting a bit of sunlight. A couple of days ago, I was sat doing a Q&A, ask me anything kind of thing down on the little terracey thing here, and I was getting a little bit of sunburn there, which was really nice. Too much vitamin D, and I actually get vitamin D headaches when I get exposed to too much sunlight. I get what I call a sun headache. And I think it's too much vitamin D. I can't see anybody typing about vitamin D going through clouds, so let me do it. Does vitamin D go through clouds? Okay, let's have a look. It's true that in overcast climates, the sun isn't beaming down on you with the same intensity, but being outside and soaking in vitamin D producing rays is still good for you, even on cloudy days or in overcast climates. UV rays can still make your way to your skin. So yes, so basically stand outside. That's from Google. I don't know how true that is, but it sounds fairly true to me. I've always felt that. But you've got to, so there's a couple of things going on. The first thing was I was stood around the back yesterday. I was playing hide and seek with my 5-year-old, which is very hard because there's not massive amount of places to hide. But I was stood there, I was waiting for her to find me, and she'd actually given up and I didn't realise. And I was just stood there and it was quiet. And I could hear the birds tweeting. And I was like, I just took a few breaths. And I was like, this is actually really nice. There's no cars passing. There's no planes overhead. There's nothing except birds. And it's awesome. It was really nice. Do you know what I mean? And so being outside, not just for vitamin D, but listening. and breathing in the fresh air and all of that kind of thing. If you saw Venice, the Venice canals, which I have been, and they were dark, murky green, a bit like my swimming pool last week. Now they've got fish in them, the dolphins have turned up, the ducks are in the pond, wild boars running through Venice. It's lovely to see. I've seen satellite maps of China, and the smog has cleared up because the factories are shutting down. Obviously, is this the planet going, hang on, guys, and we're just going to have a little reset here? Who knows? I don't think the planet thinks like that. Let's have a look, see what you got to say. I live in a mid-terrace and have to walk past neighbours' houses to get out. Last night they were having parties outside. Yeah, that will happen all the time. And if it does, it's like, have a word with your neighbour and go, this needs to be tolerable for all of us. I would have that word. And just I think communication is key on all of this. I have got more stuff on my list, by the way, which we'll go into in a minute. I'll just have another drink. But I think communication is key on all of this. Communication with my tenant. If I'd not made that text, how is he? He wouldn't have had food, and his sister can't afford food either. And it's like, it's just communication. And I'm thinking about this more, and I'm probably going to reach out to some of my other tenants that I think might be higher risk, just to make sure they're okay. Let's have a look. Oh, that's a useful information. You can also get the same results from a UV bulb. So that's very good. You don't know my neighbours. Happens all the time in summer. Oh, I apologise for that. Not that I apologise, but you have my empathy. On that situation, by the way, if the parties are going on late, it's an environmental health issue. Get onto your council. If they're in rented accommodation, try and find out the name of the landlord, that kind of thing. That might help. But we've got a tenant actually, and he lives in a back-to-back house, which is like a house with people on three sides. So it's not a through house with no back door. And then the person on the back door, explain this for the Americans, I think, more than anybody. So there's people there and people at the back. So I'll do that as a diagram so you can see. So there's people here. These are all houses. So here is his front door. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can kind of see that. This is his front door. This is their front door. So he lives here, and these guys are really loud. So it's an environmental health issue, and they'll give you a diary to fill in and all that kind of thing. But it's definitely worth doing that if it gets too much. But you could have a word with them and just ask, just to be a little bit more nicer with that. Okay, so let's have a look. Chance to help people. Time to be a beacon. You should be the beacon of light in the darkness for sure. Time to step up. It's like, who do you want to be? Like, we have this idea about how we see ourselves, and then we have an idea about how other people see ourselves. And always the first question I would ask is, who do you want to be? When you grow up, I'm 47. When I grow up, I want to be a train driver or an astronaut. What do you want to be? But more than what do you want to be, who do you want to be? What sort of person do you want to be? And I think now is the time to start making those important decisions. Giving money out to people to help them detracts from the money that you have. But you get something back. And the feeling that I got this morning was a weird feeling. So, like, we have helped people in the past. We used to go around helping homeless people and handing out backpacks. And so we'd raise money on Facebook. We'd spend £20 in the pound shop and fill a backpack that we purchased for £5 from the market. We'd fill it up with stuff and then hand them out, and you get something back from that. But I think the question for us as a species, as an individual of the species, should be, who do you want to be? As you move forward through the rest of this year, how do you want to be with other people? Do you want to be the guy that goes out and helps people, even if you're taken advantage of sometimes? Do you want to be the guy that can go out and help other people? And I think the answer is yes. And I think as a species, it's time for us to step up and actually help other people. I'm not a great fan of religion, as you probably know, but churches and some religions do help other people. Some religions, most religions, other than like the crazy ones, the very extreme ones. Those standing on the side of the road with the billboards. Westboro Baptist, is that it? Most religions are there to help other people, and I think maybe we just create our own religion, call it Jedi, call it monster, a spaghetti monster, whatever religion you want, the Pastafarians with the pasta things on the head. And I think it's time for us to create a new religion, which is about just being nice and helping other people. But it starts with you deciding who you want to be as you move forward in life. And I said this one was going to be inspirational and motivational, and I think it's time to start questioning ourselves as to how we actually show up in life. Strong stuff, isn't it? Next one, I put time to care. So if you've got neighbours right now and you know who the old people are, or the people who are maybe struggling with money, or have some disability of some kind, or can't get shopping, or there's all sorts of different things that you can do to help them, even if it's just getting on the phone, sending them a WhatsApp, popping a note through the door saying, I'm 4 doors down, I'm here to help you if you need anything, just let me know, here's my number. Like, even if it's just a chat once a day for 5 minutes. But, I speak to my parents every day. My dad phoned me actually this morning. First time he's ever done that, I think, in 20 years. We're just checking we're okay, But I think it's time for us just to step up and do that and be that beacon. Time to plan. We should be planning what, we did a goal setting session yesterday. It's in the mastermind group and the link's down below. And if you want to go see that, you can get the replay. It's just in there. Just go to videos on the left-hand side and watch the last one. It's about goal setting. We use the whiteboard to show people how to goal set. And we actually started goal setting from 2021 because I think 2020 is kind of written off. 2020 is really about surviving. What a crazy sentence to say. Could you imagine 3 months ago that we would use language like that on a Facebook Live or a Periscope or a YouTube Live? But 2020 is about surviving, folks. If you can get through this, you can get through anything. I mean, it's like, what the hell? How times have changed. But yeah, if you get through 2020, just write that shit off. Let's focus on 2021. And I saw a wonderful post yesterday that after all of this, the restaurants will be full, the nightclubs will be full, the pubs will be full, everyone's be having parties, everyone will be, spending money again. I was going to say nicer to people, but honestly, we won't be. People are nice now. And then it just goes back to the de facto standard. Do you remember last month we had a celebrity here in the UK who committed suicide? I think she was 42 or maybe 47 maybe. And she committed suicide, and Caroline Flack, and, be kind, be kind, and all this stuff. And then last week it was, get out, old lady, elbow in her face so I can get my toilet roll. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we're nice right now. And after 9/11, actually, I had a green BMW convertible, and I left the window down while I went shopping. And someone, when I came back to the car, someone had put a towel over it, just so it didn't get wet. And it's like, and it was a leather interior, and it didn't matter if it got wet. But someone went out of their way, they used one of their own towels and put it, and it was very, very nice, And then after a while, we kind of, got back into being human again, which sometimes is not the nicest. But it's like, again, be the person you want to be. Be the person that your dog thinks you are, or your kids think you are. We did a thing at my daughter's school where they go, what does your daddy do? One of those, What does your daddy do for a living? And she said, my daddy's a hero because he helps people. And she came out and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to step up. Do you know what I mean? I need to step up my game here. Be the person your kid thinks you are. Even if you lose sometimes, it's the right thing to do. Sometimes it's just the right thing to do. Next one then is it's time to market your business. And you can market it through doing lives like this. We attract people in. We're going for 28 minutes and people come in and then they disappear, and then they come in and then they disappear. And that's totally fine. So let's just have a quick drink. So it's time to market your business. And the type of marketing that you should be doing right now is goodwill. It's not buy my product, because I don't think many people are buying stuff right now. And I know that's dangerous because people need money, and especially self-employed right now, because they're not being protected currently as of today, 21st of March. They're not being protected by the government. So they need to get money in from somewhere. But I think the right type of marketing that you should be doing right now is a mixture of goodwill, which is you helping other people. So another great reason to go out and help people. Not that that should be the only reason, but use it. It should be about giving advice like this. It should be about being the beacon in the darkness so people can see you and go, when the chips were down, Dan stepped up and he helped people. like that right there is you marketing the business. This is me marketing the business. And so there's what value can you give? Is there something you can give away that you used to charge for, but because of coronavirus, you're now giving it away for the next 2 months? I've seen a number of people doing that. And it's like, you've got to change the business. Pubs, and they're now closed, are now offering takeaway food. So you can still get your pub lunch, but it's as a takeaway, as opposed to you sit inside the pub. And I know you're paying for the pub experience and all that, but it's about marketing the goodwill. And I think if you can run forward with that, then for the next 3 months, when this is over, people will remember how you performed and how you reacted. So there's a couple of things going around. People are making lists of shitty companies right now. There's one shitty company called Britannia Hotels, and they sent a letter to their staff who live in the hotel at the same time. So how that model works. And they said, you have been sacked, your service is no longer required, and because of that, that means you have to vacate immediately. So not only did they lose a job yesterday, or the day before, I think it was yesterday, not only did they lose their job, they lost their home at the same time. This morning, they're backtracking like crazy, going, oh no, that was an admin error, we didn't mean that. And of course they bloody meant it, it's just for being caught out. And so that company is not looked upon in a good light, and probably won't be here in 6 months, I imagine. No one's staying at that company. And then there's another one, which is Wetherspoons, owned by Tim Martin. And he said yesterday, everyone should go to the pub to self-isolate because coronavirus doesn't get transmitted in pubs as much as everywhere in a supermarket, for example. And it was really irresponsible for him to say that. And then there was on Twitter, what's it called? Not ban Wetherspoons, boycott Wetherspoons was up there. That's really bad really bad marketing. I know he's going to struggle and all the rest of it, as many people are, but and I'm going to struggle too if people stop paying rent. But everyone's struggling. It's not like, we're going to talk about gold in a second, by the way, because I want a conversation about gold, something I was having a chat with a financial guy about last night. But you've got to market in the right way. If you're marketing right now, you've got to do it in the right way. And it has to be marketing about being nice to one another. What a crazy world we live in. Talk about gold for a second, because gold's plummeting. Bitcoin's plummeting, and we're having a conversation. Why is that? In times where recession and things are contracting, a lot of money moves into gold because it's a good store of money, of value, I should say. It's a good store of money when the shit's hitting the fan, but gold's plummeting. And I'm like, it's because, and this is what we kind of worked out together, it's because right now there's a massive transfer of wealth going on right now, today. While everyone else is cowering at home, scared we're going to run out of toilet roll despite having 38 million toilet rolls stuck in a cupboard, wealthy people are making a killing. They're short in the stock market, they're short in things like gold right now, oil, doing all this kind of stuff, okay? Because they're financially literate and they understand what's going on. But it's like, well, why is gold plummeting when money should be going into gold? And this is the reason why I think, folks, don't quote me on it, but we're generally correct on most of these things. There's a big transition of wealth going on. People are selling gold, and we know people are selling gold. That's why price of gold is going down. When people buy it, it goes up. When people are selling it, it goes down. So they're selling gold and they're pulling cash out. Why do you think we're pulling cash out and putting it into a bank account? What do you think is going to happen in 3 months? Like right now, we're buying businesses. How many more businesses do you think we can buy at rock bottom in 3 or 4 months? Loads, because they're all going bust. People are moving money into cash. And I see people on Facebook going, are you fed up of getting 0.5% interest in your bank? Give that money to me and I'll give you 8%, guaranteed. That's a high risk, by the way. If you've got money in the bank and you give it to one of those people, that's a high risk strategy in today's environment, because nobody knows what's happening with property either. But actually, the safest place for money right now is not in gold, it's in the bank. And if you've got £500,000, £1 million, £100,000, £1 billion, £4 billion sat there like Apple are going to go shopping in 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months. They're going to buy a lot of stuff. So is Google. So are the hedge fund managers. This stuff is going on, and it's like this massive transfer of wealth right now, and people kind of don't see it because all they see is the Sun newspaper and the headlines, oh, panic. Whereas other people, they're isolating on the little island that they own. Is it Ronaldo? And he picked everybody up and went to a little private island that he just bought literally like last month or like this month because of this, which is amazing, by the way. I'd love to be in that position. Imagine how many people you could help if you could do that. And someone like Ronaldo does help other people too. But like, there's going to be a fire sale on. So the advice I gave for financial advisor, I said, what you need to do is watch this one film to explain what's going on right now. Are you ready? I'm going to share it. I'll probably go live about this because I think it's quite funny as well. This film is about the effect of when the shit hits the fan and the effect it has on financials and wealth. Okay, are you ready? Die Hard 4. Die Hard 4. The one with the kid who's a computer expert, and John McClane's, a dinosaur in a modern age. You remember that film? Go watch that film again. Everything is about to go onto a fire sale in the next 6 months. Trust me on this. Or no, I might be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. There's going to be a fire sale coming up, and people are moving their store of value back into cash, ready for the fire sale. And I said this last week or the week before, when there's let me rephrase it. A recession to wealthy people is like the next sale for the middle class. You know, the next sale in the UK where people get up at 5 a.m. and queue around the block to get all the cheap stuff. That's how the middle class perform when it's a sale. The recession is a sale for very wealthy people, and we're moving all that money back into cash because this is going to be around for 12 months, 18 months max, maybe. After that, what do you think is going to happen? The stock market's going to fly. All these companies that have to lay people off, they're going to be bought for pennies on the pound. People take them on, buy the assets, buy the goodwill, buy the future orders, and not future today because everyone stopped ordering anything, but future orders in 18 months, and they're going to start buying this stuff. We're doing this. We have got letters lined up. We've got 84 specific companies within West Yorkshire that we're sending letters to. Only 84, but the return rate on this is about 6%. And we're actually doing this because we know that, and we're just warming people up so that when it hits the fan in 6 months, we can go out and buy up people's businesses. They're going bust anyway. Us buying their business might be able to save some jobs. So it's a very good thing that we can do, and everybody wins. We win because we get an asset and we can build the business back up. The staff win because now they don't get to lose the jobs, hopefully. And the owner wins because he's like, never want to do that again, I'm just selling up. So it's got to be a win-win-win for everybody, and that's why we do it. Okay, last piece I've got here, and then let's go back to any questions that you've got. Be the person others wish they were. So if there are no more questions or comments, I'll end on this. Be the person that other people wish they were. I wish I could be more helpful. I wish I could be more kind. I wish I could go out and help more homeless people. I wish I could go out and, Tony Robbins does the basket. I don't like Tony Robbins. I used to, but I don't. I know some stuff about Tony Robbins that will send a shiver through your spine. I lost my train of thought there. So the basket brigade, let's talk about that. So knocking on people's doors. Oh, we've got a basket for you at Christmas. Oh, it's there you go. That's a very nice thing to do, and it's about being the person that others want to be, and being the person that you want to be. And it's about time for us to step up as a species and just go out and help as many people as we can. And in these dark days, I wonder how this will be remembered in 50 years, 100 years. And we're either going to be remembered for being complete twats to one another, or we're going to be remembered because some people stepped up, like Florence Nightingale kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Which one do you want to be? How do you want to be remembered in 100 years? How do you want this time period to be remembered? And I think it's nice to be nice anyway, but now's the time to step up and just kind of go the extra step. And you don't have to have money to do that. You just have to communicate, If you guys have any more questions, I will answer those questions. Not about Tony Robbins. Thank you for asking, but not about Tony Robbins. I think we're pretty much done. If you're about to type something, type faster. Oh, I did say I was going to check on Facebook as well, because sometimes it doesn't come up. Let's have a look. Carl. Hey, Carl. Oh, it's Joe. Joe, for some reason, your name doesn't come up. So let's have a look. Joe is the person who's a client of mine, by the way. Lives in the mid-terrace and have to walk past neighbour houses. Last night, they were having parties outside. And that's not good as well, because you've got a kid who's not overly well. And Carl was walking with dogs. Huddersfield reality starting to kick in. Thank you, Carl, for joining in. I think that's probably everybody. Let's just see if there's anybody else. I think we're pretty much good. No more comments coming through. That will do us for today. Hope you find that useful. I quite enjoy these little rants. I go off on all sorts of tangents. I do have kind of a list to run through, but I like going off on tangents. It's just my personality. But if you like this, then share it, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. I don't know, all that extra stuff. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. And that'll do us. We'll probably go live again today. I know it's a Saturday, but what else we're going to do? It's not really a Saturday, is it? It's just another day. Yet another day. But all rolls into one long day. It just doesn't even make any difference. On a Saturday, normally, we'd go out somewhere, we'd go for a walk on the beach and all that kind of thing. And today, we'll probably just walk around the pool or, walk to the end of the terrace. Who knows? Right, have yourselves a good day. Stay safe out there. Stay safe at home, I should say. And we'll catch up with you live later on. Have a good one, folks. Take care.